Hey everyone, welcome back to Veteran Game, the home of real talk, deep dives, and game reviews that don't pull any punches. If you love honest takes on new indie releases, tactical games, and the hardest roguelikes around, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's jump in. Today we're talking about a new indie that's been on my radar for months, Shuffle Tactics. Now, Shuffle Tactics is basically what happens when Slay the Spire hooks up with Final Fantasy Tactics after a long night out and decides to go full roguelike. I know, right? That elevator pitch alone is enough to make most gamers perk up. But does the actual game live up to all those inspirations, or does it shuffle its cards one too many times? Let's get into it. So what is Shuffle Tactics really? At its core, this is a deck-building roguelike, meaning you're building your hand of cards, making brutal choices about upgrades, and hoping your run doesn't get nuked by a bad encounter or a single slip-up. But what sets this one apart from the pack is its tactical grid-based combat. Picture this. Every stage opens with a handful of enemies spread across a tile map, and your team, led by a hero with a unique deck and a growing band of sidekicks, needs to use cards, abilities, and positioning to wipe out the opposition or complete objectives. It's turn-based, strategic, and let's just say it, deliciously stressful. You start out as the Dober Knight, a tanky melee brawler who's just begging to get in the thick of it. But the more you play, the more you unlock. Archers, mages, all with their own style and card pool. Every hero feels distinct, and the variety just keeps growing as you keep failing, learning, and pushing through those brutally hard runs. And yeah, you're going to fail a lot. Here's the basic gameplay loop. You pick your hero, recruit some sidekicks, and then set out on a run across a branching map filled with combat encounters, shops, and bosses. The encounters themselves are the meat of the game, fast-paced, punchy, and full of chaos. Every card you play costs action points, and each of your team members has their own hand and resources to spend before the enemies take their turn. It's not just about your main character. Your sidekicks get their own decks, turns, and even their own strategy headaches. If a sidekick dies, you lose access to their cards for the fight. But if you win, everyone's revived and back at full health for the next round. You're never out of options until you wipe. What I really love is that every fight feels meaningful. Even basic attacks have this meaty, satisfying punch to them, and there's a real thrill when you wipe out a mob of enemies in a single flashy chain of moves. Seriously, the visual feedback is on point, screen flashes, fluid animations, the whole 9 yards. The game isn't just tactical, it's also stylish as hell. And can we talk about the deck building? Shuffle Tactics gives you tons of room to play and experiment. Every battle you'll get the chance to tweak your deck, add new cards, remove dead weight, equip new relics for passive bonuses, or attach charms to cards for extra effects like poison or extended range. It's classic roguelike progression, but with more options than most games give you. And since every run hands out a different mix of rewards, you never really play the same build twice. There's genuine replay value here for the tinkerers, the min-maxers, and the theory crafters. But, and this is a big but, Shuffle Tactics is not interested in holding your hand. The game throws you in with minimal tutorialization, and there are real gaps in the onboarding. I'm not exaggerating, basic controls aren't explained, and some pretty important systems are left for you to discover by trial and error. If you're used to slick, modern hand-holding, this game's going to slap you upside the head and tell you to read the manual you never got. It's both a flaw and, weirdly, part of the appeal. Because if you're the kind of player who likes to figure things out, there's a ton to discover. Of course, the other side of that coin is frustration. I definitely spent a few fights just mashing buttons, trying to figure out how to move, attack, or even rotate the camera. It feels old school for better and for worse. And while there is a demo out there that supposedly explained more, that's not super helpful if you're just diving into the release version. The same goes for game difficulty. Shuffle Tactics is hard, I mean really hard. Not just, oh, this is challenging hard, but I just lost an hour-long run because a boss decided to summon 20 dudes in one turn hard. There are fights where you're totally outnumbered, where the game just decides to turn the screws and see how you handle it. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's rage-inducing, but it's always intense. Some scenarios just feel unfair, like destroying rifts that spawn endless enemies, or boss battles where your tiny squad is swarmed before you can even make a plan. And look, I'm all for tough games. Hades, Slay the Spire, Cobalt Core give me a challenge. But shuffle tactics sometimes crosses the line into punishing for the sake of it, especially early on when your options are limited and your deck is weak. The reward system doesn't help. Instead of feeling like you're building momentum with every run, there's a real sense of start from scratch and pray. Sure, you unlock new cards and heroes, but there's no persistent health or damage buffs to make future runs a bit easier. It's classic roguelike stuff, but for some players it'll feel like a grind with too little payoff. There are some player-friendly features. If you're stuck, you can unlock all heroes and max out their levels from the menu, skipping some of the grind. There's no penalty, so you can play fair or cheese the system as much as you want. Honestly, I wish more games would offer options like this. It's a great accessibility choice for people who just want to experiment without beating their head against a wall. Now, about the world and the story, there is one. Shuffle Tactics doesn't exactly have a deep RPG narrative, but there's enough lore and weirdness to keep you curious. The kingdom of Asteria has been corrupted by the Glimmer, monsters are everywhere, and the king's gone full-on evil. It's pretty basic, but you get lore snippets from shopkeepers and NPCs, and every run gives you a bit more flavor. It's not going to win any writing awards, but it sets the mood. Visually, Shuffle Tactics looks great for an indie. The mix of chunky 3D environments and crisp 8-bit sprite work really pops, especially in motion. Battles are colorful, and big finishers or boss fights have some real flair. There are definitely some camera and UI issues, especially when the screen is crowded with health bars or terrain, but overall it's a feast for the eyes. Now the real question, should you play Shuffle Tactics? Here's the deal, if you love deck builders, tactics games, and a real challenge, this game is going to scratch an itch you probably didn't even know you had. When it all comes together, your deck is humming, your team is alive, and you're knocking out enemies with style, it feels incredible. But if you're the kind of player who needs a smooth difficulty curve, persistent upgrades, or gentle onboarding, you might bounce off hard. This game is not interested in making things easy. To sum up, Shuffle Tactics is a tactical roguelike with attitude. It's hard, sometimes unfair, but totally addicting once you get your hooks into it. Great design, tons of strategic depth, and a sense of discovery that'll keep you coming back, or rage quitting. If you're up for the challenge, give it a go and let me know in the comments if you made it past boss number 6. Thanks for watching Veteran Game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know your wildest Shuffle Tactics moments or most brutal defeats down below. What's your favorite roguelike of all time? And where does this one land for you? Stay tuned for more brutally honest reviews, deep dives, and all the gamer truth you need. Until next time, keep your deck sharp and your tactics sharper.